Hello, everyone, and welcome to the month of June 2019. This is our anticipated releases video. My name is Mike.
My name is Nick.
And I'm Travis.
And like I said, we're in the month of June now. We went through a couple months where there weren't a lot of huge releases. I guess in a way, this month isn't like explosive in like other months we've had. There's definitely a lot of releases coming out this month, so there's a lot of games we probably won't be talking about just because the volume of games itself was pretty massive. There is a couple of major releases that we will be talking about, once we get to it, but as always, we brought our two games and we have a bunch of stuff that we want to talk about. So who wants to get this party started?
I guess I will, because I'm going to start off one that's just kind of a modest one, but it's still one that I'm pretty excited about. It's Bloodstained: Ritual of the Night. Now, I know a lot of people, at least from the research that I've done getting up to this game, the original Bloodstained, again, it's calling back to the old school Castlevania games, those 2D walking through, exploring, you got like your whip and whatnot attacks. Nothing too out of the ordinary, but one of the things that's really, really cool to see with this is that the developers are extremely expressive on pointing out the exact flaws that people mentioned, whether it's on social media like Reddit or like on Twitter or whatnot, and showing those comments in the trailer saying that, hey, we fixed this problem.
That's
and I really
awesome.
like that approach where they just straight up said, hey, we knew the issues that you guys had with the game, and we're going to explicitly say we see the problem and we're going to fix it, so that they compare the new and the old graphics. And in terms of gameplay, I don't know a ton that's different, but I love this approach where they're screaming right out and putting it right in your face, hey, we are definitely listening. We know that you liked this game, but you knew it could be better, so we want to improve it based on your guys' recommendations. And I think that is a great approach to have. I think when it gets to some of the later entries, or maybe like the second or third entry, some companies think that they have a better understanding than what their audience really liked about it. And I don't think that disconnect is going to be happening with Bloodstained: Ritual of the Night, where they explicitly say, I keep saying it because if you see it in the trailer, these were the issues that we had. These are the issues that we're going to fix. And I think that is the best approach to have, especially when making an indie game like this. And I think it just will bring so much good publicity to the game as well, that I would think that could really propel your game to being one of those, hey, let's talk about this game and how much these developers are freaking awesome. Stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's not a lot of companies that do that. Ubisoft did that with Assassin's Creed, I remember, from like the jump from 1 to 2, where they did the whole like, hey, we listened to your feedback. They gave a list of things that people didn't like, and they made the changes. And that's part of the reason that franchise jumped so much, like in terms of popularity from the first game to the second game. So it's always kind of nice when you see developers like actually pay attention to fans. So many people just ignore comments and stuff because they're like, I don't want to deal with negative feedback. But a lot of those comments are legitimate concerns that people have for the games. It's not just trolls, trying to hate on something. So it is nice to see. It's refreshing.
Yeah, it's definitely good because when Gearbox announced with the whole Epic Games thing, did not go over well because he did the opposite of what this company is doing, in that he's like, you guys are just stupid.
Basically.
Yeah, you
he
never
did
want to
address it,
belittle
though.
the people playing your games like that. I think that's a terrible approach.
Yeah,
it was not smart because as a result, they just completely bombed the Borderlands 1 remastered that they just released.
Yeah, they review bombed the crap out of those games.
It was so bad.
Which is kind of a bad thing to do. It's like, why are you going to piss off the masses? But either way, going back to this game, it's nice because like they're improving the lighting, they're improving the graphics, and they're taking criticism for this game, and they're just kind of, I hate to say it like this because it kind of makes sense in my mind, I'm not sure if it does, but what I'm getting from the trailer, it's kind of like a mic drop where it's just like, yo, check out what we just did. Mic drop.
Right.
That's what it seems like this game is, but it's improving on all the things that the former Bloodstained was, and I'm actually really looking forward to this. I personally was never somebody who got fully invested in a Castlevania game, but Travis can tell you, as I played like Super Castlevania 4 on the SNES Classic, I was like, wow, this game is actually fantastic, and I'm actually getting hooked into this game a little bit.
Yeah.
So I am excited to see that there's still an audience for that kind of classic style, especially with Simon and Richter Belmont being added to Smash Bros. Ultimate. There's at least some people who are discovering that kind of franchise and that style of game, and it is, I would say, giving a little bit of a resurgence. Not anything too drastic, but enough for people to say, hey, let's check out maybe this indie game that is paying homage to that. But yeah, I think it looks great.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I would just echo that. If you're a fan of Castlevania games, this is absolutely worth checking out. They definitely did a
Yes.
great job of that whole like spiritual successor type game. It was what Mighty Number 9 should have been for Mega Man, and that's a great
Oh
callback.
God, yes.
So yeah, I'll move on to my game if we're good with this one.
Yep.
So the first one I want to talk about is called The Sinking City, and I'm not going to dive too deep into this. I think we have a big release at the end we really want to dive into, so I'll kind of just give a brief synopsis on what this game is. It's a survival horror game, which is kind of the reason that I wanted to talk about this one. Any chance I get to kind of, throw a little call to the survival horror genre, I like to do it, because as many people know, it's my favorite genre of video game. This one looks really awesome. If you look up any review, I think it's so funny. I looked up a few like previews and stuff. The word Lovecraft is seen like in every paragraph of every review for this game. I think it's clear that game has the like Call of Cthulhu and all that. And every single website wants to make that clear for some odd reason. But it is that style, and so I think that is something that's at least worth mentioning. It has guns in it, and so there's combat and killing enemies, but a lot of the game is still just kind of walking around and exploring the environment, and seeing what's out there in the world. The world changes a lot, and it's very expansive. There's a lot of mysteries, and if you look at the trailers, I guess what's cool about it is it's hard to understand exactly what's going on in the game. As the title suggests, there's a lot of... Yeah, no, and I think that's awesome. Like I was going to say, like, the title of the game, you could tell there's obviously going to be water in the game, and there's plenty of scenes where we see like flooding and all that going on, but in reality, we don't get a clear picture of what this game is going to be. We understand it's going to be a survival horror game. We understand there's going to be combat, but there's a lot of parts where you're simply trying to avoid getting caught and all that. But outside of that, it's kind of a mystery. And I think that's the point. It seems like it's going less of an Outlast route and more, this is a bit not under the radar, but for those of you that have played Layers of Fear, where, it's kind of demonic and things change a lot, I think that's what this game is more in line with. So it's not just a straight, normal, jump scare game. It definitely feels like it's more trying to mess with your head in a way. Which I always like to see. So it doesn't seem like a run-of-the-mill horror game where it's just going to have stuff jump out at you. It seems like they're putting a lot of effort into crafting a really, terrifying world. And so I always appreciate that. And so I don't know how it's going to be for sure. But if you look at the gameplay, it looks like fun, and it looks like it'll have a decent challenge to it. And so I always like to give little shout-outs to games like that. So
I think it looks really cool because if you looked at the cinematic trailer, a lot of it is a guy walking around with just like a Tommy gun, and you kind of see like the water from the sky. It's not directly telling you, but it seems for me that it'll have a little bit of symbolism that is going with it, not just direct storytelling. And I feel like when it kind of gives you that doubt or suspicion or kind of that intrigue when you're playing these horror games, I think that just makes the horror game better in general. Again, I'm not a horror player or a horror game player at all, really, but in terms of what this game is doing, it does make me intrigued by it, just in terms of what it can do. And I would like to see it do something different with the genre, and I'm sure you can more attest to what it can do different, but I think it'll give at least enough of a fresh spin that would be good for players who are veterans.
And I think there's a lot of games that came out like Metal Gear Survive and stuff that didn't really do a great job of that. God. So I've had a lot of negativity towards these types of games. Resident Evil 2 was a great game for that, but it was a remake. So it's cool seeing this game come out, and I have a lot of optimism going in that this is going to be like a staple, unique survival horror game. It's not just going to be run-of-the-mill, repetitive, or tedious the way that a lot of them are. Survival horror games, a lot of people think like, oh, horror games are just boring, surface level, but they require a lot of like depth to make them work. That's why so many of them are bad. So this is definitely one of the ones that I feel like looks like it has a lot of work into it. And so I'm hoping that it comes out good. I'm positive.
I always hope a horror game comes out good and positive, so I'll definitely have that on my radar as well. Huh?
I was just saying Travis just wants to scare CJ.
I mean, accurate. Are we good to move on to the next game? Okay, so the first game I want to talk about is also a remake of a very old game, or pretty old game. And that's Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled, right? That's the whole title. I, unfortunately, was super busy when we recorded it, when we played it on, the GameCube or whatever.
Yep.
And I've been rewatching that series, and I'm like, my god, this game looks so fun. And then I heard that the remastered version was coming out, and I'm like, oh, good. Because as much as I love Mario Kart 8, I need a new racing game in my life, because I can probably do the blindfold challenge pretty decently at this point.
Probably $1,000 in a Mario Kart 8 for all of us.
Oh, I know. It's terrible. So I'm looking forward to having like a new racing game. It was a lot harder to find some video coverage of this game than I thought it would be.
I agree.
And then it pretty much showed off the same 3 courses, so I don't have like a huge range of things. I'm hoping to see a lot more at E3 about this game, but right now it's definitely on my wish list because, like I said, it's a new racing game. It has really fun mechanics, or at least the original did, so it said that everything was coming back, so I'll definitely look forward to trolling all of my friends and, betraying everybody just to get the step ahead.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to add in right here, one of the cool things about it is that, yes, of course, nowadays, like, a kart racing game without online play is almost suicide for it, but I think it's kind of smart that they have it. It is taking a more of a, I guess, direct approach for a racing game than Team Sonic Racing. Like Team Sonic Racing, we never even pointed out, at least I did my bad job at that, of not even saying how the whole team aspect is what it made it different, where like you might get first, but if your team sucks, like your team's not going to place first. It is the more direct game where it's just like, you have the drift boost, you got the items, and it works more along the lines of like a Mario Kart or Diddy Kong Racing, rather than obviously the newer game like Sonic Team Racing. One of the things that I think is really cool about it, though, is, my god, it looks beautiful. I mean, the original PS for Crash Team Racing, or I think it's just Crash Racing, I forget what the actual like specific title is. Graphically, it looked fine, but these graphics are just gorgeous. Like, graphics don't make a game, obviously, but it definitely enhances the experience, and these graphics are just breathtaking to see. Everything's so bright and colorful. The races just will seem so dynamic. The lighting and the shading looks good, too. All of those combined, I'm sure, will make for a great remaster or remake.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait to get hit by a cow.
Oh, God.
That's thrown at me.
Cow, rocket, whatever it is. Oh, it's going to be fun.
For sure.
Oh, yeah. That game's ridiculous.
Yeah, that'll be fun for sure.
All right, Mike, do you got something to add, or is it my turn for a couple honorable mentions? Go ahead.
Section? Give your whatever you have next.
So as I was going through the list of games that were coming out, I do want to give a little bit of a nod because this is one of the ones that Mike likes. I wasn't sure if he was going to give it a shout out, but Heavy Rain is coming to PC June 24th. I just want to point that out here. I don't know a ton about Heavy Rain, but I know me and Travis have heard Mike's thoughts about the game, about a game that Mike just really wants to cry. He can play it. It's one of those.
There's just the intro itself makes you cry. It's awful. Like, it's great, but awful.
Yes, it'll make you cry your ass off. So that's a really cool thing. But the other one that I want to talk about a little bit more is Octopath Traveler coming to PC. This game was, I would say, more of a nod back to the old school style of JRPGs, like its golden age, than I Am Setsuna and Lost Sphere. Most recently, I did beat Lost Sphere. I have my thoughts on that video coming out. But in short, from I Am Setsuna and Lost Sphere, they did a couple things really good, but it never really seemed like they nailed anything. They never seemed to figure out, or scratch that gaming itch, I guess, if you want to say, that these kind of old school JRPGs had. But Octopath Traveler was the one where they finally had, I would say, a better marketing team, a better vision, and they just kind of hit it out of the park in terms of a battle system, in terms of intertwining storylines, in terms of a good narrative, and finally was able to grasp more of what made that era kind of special and what made those games kind of sought after nowadays. There's still people who are talking about how Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VII are the greatest games of all time, and there's a reason for that. And I think that Tokyo RPG Factory hitting that accord with Octopath Traveler, and we kind of are able to take a step back and see it now, where it was a very fantastic game. It had a great sales numbers and whatnot, and overall it was pretty much well liked. I can't say the same thing about I Am Setsuna and Lost Sphere, because those came with its own set of issues and whatnot, but Octopath Traveler, one of the most dynamic things about it was actually the lighting. Just when I was mentioning Crash Team Racing before, the lighting was just beautiful for that game. While it still had that kind of 2D pixel art, not technically like pixel art, it still was able to have a callback to those kind of golden ages while still shaping its own identity as a game itself, which I think that's so special about this, because I felt like Lost Sphere and I Am Setsuna in certain cases was just trying it too hard to do that without giving it itself its own game identity. But Octopath Traveler, I felt like, was able to do that better in those games. And Travis, what about that music?
It's so good. I mean, I put... God, I don't even know how many hours into that game. Like, part of me wants to replay it, and then the other part of me is like, I don't have the time to put in the 90 whatever hours I've put into it already. Mm-hmm. But the music is so good. I still go back to it and listen to it, and...
Yeah. I'm looking forward to finally getting through that, getting through Octopath Traveler, and hey, if I ever want to play it on PC, it's gonna be there.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I haven't really played it much yet. I did a little bit, so, you know. It's another thing to have on Steam. It's always nice seeing Steam kind of build its library, or PC in general, I guess. So that's always cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Steam library is full of games that I thought I would play and haven't even opened yet.
And get ready for the summer sales, Travis. Get ready.
I think I bought every single summer sales possibility at this point. Sucks having a birthday right before it, so you're like, I have money.
And how many games are just sitting in your backlog?
Oh God, I probably only play around like 4 or 5 of the games, but I know my inventory is in the like 80s.
Jesus Christ.
To put in perspective of how awful I am at, just saying no to myself.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we're ready to move on, I want to talk about one other game real quick too before, we get to the finale, and that is a game called My Friend Pedro. It sounds very odd, and actually, it's funny. I first heard of this game way back when, during the E3 of last year. Devolver Digital, by the way, they are an incredible company. Even if you don't like video games in general, you just have to look up this company and like the type of videos and the ads they put out. They are ridiculous, and they fully accept the fact that the gaming world and the business of it today is completely ridiculous and stupid. They totally bought into that, and I think it's so hilarious because they call it how it is, and they're absolutely the company that's like, hey, you know what? This microtransaction bullshit, all this like extra trying to fluff games out and sell them the way they're not, it's stupid. We're just going to tell you what our game is, and we're going to throw that out there. And that's exactly what they do. So it's funny just to watch how they do things in general. Before I even get into the game. So check them out for that. I'm sure their E3 this year will be fun too, which we're getting closer to also. But for the game itself, it's a shooter game, right? Where you're this guy who's like wearing like a biker helmet, and you're just trying to like progress through levels and kill enemies and all that. What's funny about this game, and I think what's really cool, is it's actually really intelligently built. It doesn't seem like it is. If you look at this game, it looks like random chaos. But this game actually goes really in depth as far as the physics engine and how the game works, from a physics perspective. If there's the top of a trash can flying, you can project your bullets at it so that it angles at a certain point so you can kill other enemies. There's a ton of using your environment to try to kill enemies that are in hard to reach places, right? So you can make sure everything's angled appropriately. There's different types of weapons. There's different things that you can ride and use to get around the level. And so, I'm sure the footage you're seeing, again, it looks chaotic, but dissect what you're looking at, and what you'll see is actually a really well-designed game. And so I don't know how much it's going to be on sale for. I can't imagine it would be a lot, but I can tell you it's going to be worth whatever the price is. The game is comical. Oh, yeah. It's funny to look at, but it's also going to be fun to play. It doesn't look like it's going to be frustrating, and it doesn't seem like it's poorly put together. They put a lot of work into it. So it's funny. A game called My Friend Pedro seems to be one of the smarter built games that I've seen in a long time, which never thought I'd say that, but, I think it's true, and it speaks volumes about this company. They don't take themselves seriously at all, but they make amazing games, so, again.
Yeah, if you want a little bit of like an odd, like not an odd, but like a kind of a description of what their game is, the beginning of the trailer starts of basically saying like, I've never really been a fan of violence, and then the entire video is just him shooting at random people. That's kind of the approach they're taking. It's not They're memeing on us. They're embracing the fact, like Mike said, they're not taking themselves too seriously, and I think that's one of the things that gives them a lot of charm. And I kind of hope that they continue that, because it's an approach that not many people are taking, which I think is refreshing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's funny, like going back to that press conference, like they make fun of the fact that companies will go out there and like blow up their game and say like, and now showing the greatest in technology, HD graphics. They pretty much went out there and basically, and I quite literally mean this, we're like, fuck graphics. The graphics are bullshit and no one cares about it. I'm just gonna show you good gameplay. Like they know what gamers want, you know, and that's what they do, and it's so fun. So this company will always have my support for that reason. I always buy the games that they put out there. They never put out major AAA games, but because again, they flip the middle finger to AAA games. You know, they just like putting out little games that are addictive and fun to play, and they do a damn good job of it. So you know, this game will be no different.
Mm-hmm. True that.
Okay.
All right, you ready to bring it on home, Travis?
Okay, so my other game, it's just a small little game. Most people probably haven't even heard of it. And that's Super Mario Maker 2 is coming out in June.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it? Exactly. So what it is you're Mario and or Luigi. And you just make random crap in 2D Mario. Even 3D World is a 2D map now. Mm-hmm. That's exciting.
You know, out of all the games we mentioned, I feel like this is the weakest. Don't you think, Mike?
Actually, I do.
Yeah, and like I feel like no one covers it on YouTube or anything. Like, just type it in, and you won't get any results at all. So let's just make up some stuff, you know. So I think you use Mario, and I personally can't wait to use an online feature that might happen, you know, with 4-player racing, which is gonna be so fun.
Oh my God, we're gonna yell at each other more than we already do, and I cannot wait.
All right, I'm just gonna say it like this. I'm just so freaking excited, man. Like, everything about that Direct was so cool. Like, I was thinking that they're just gonna make another Mario Maker, bring it to the Switch, and I would have been okay with that. But my God, they're going above and beyond for this game. It looks amazing.
Well, yeah, because that was the thing, is after playing Mario Maker 1, I'm like, I don't know how much other stuff you can really add, and then they've proved me wrong.
Oh my God,
all over the place.
It's just an infinite amount of stuff. Let's say, I can't wait for the day that we're making a video and we're racing each other, and I have the lead, and I'm jumping for the flagpole for the win, and out of nowhere, Nick jumps on my head, and I fall into a pit, and he hits the top of the flagpole, and then I get last place. Like, it's just... It's in its own right. It's its own way of playing Mario too. Like, it's not just a Mario Maker. You've never been able to play Mario like this, where you compete in a level. Before, in Mario games, if it's co-op like this, you've always been working together, right? If you're on the same screen, or you alternate. Mm-hmm. Right.
Like Mario Bros.
It's never been a competition where you're like racing to the flag, except for the mobile game, but that doesn't count because you're not on the screen at the same time anyway. So it's doing something innovative inside of a game that usually doesn't do innovative stuff. Mario Maker doesn't usually take unique ideas. It usually just, you know, it's a creative version of ideas that have already been made. Mario Maker 2...
It allows for creative ideas. It doesn't have its own creative ideas.
Now it seems like they changed that. You know, now it seems like they're doing a lot more that's unique to this game, you know? It seems like there's a lot more items in the game that you don't see in other games. There's more concepts that you don't see in the other games. So it's almost making, like, Mario Maker its own sort of standout version of Mario, which I think is really cool, you know? It's more than just create your own Mario levels. Now it's create your own Mario levels and then take people on in it. You know, two things that you don't normally get to do, and so... Again, at its core, you know, we probably don't want to dive too deep because there's millions of other videos on it. We probably want to stick a little bit unique. But, like, I don't know. Yeah. That's what really excites me for this is we're going to be able to play Mario in a new way again, which I think is awesome. Mario Maker gave us one new way to play it with creator levels. Now we get another new way to play it. And so I think that's exciting. I think they're adding an interesting twist on, you know, the classic game that came out at this point almost 40 years ago. So I think that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is
and
insane.
I'm so much more excited for the on-off switch being included than I thought I would be, because like I loved racing Boo in the I had Mario Bros. Deluxe, and then like you basically raced him in all the different levels, and then he used on-off switches and then would piss you off because you'd get stuck somewhere, and he would just race past you like, screw you. And I can only imagine what some people are going to do with that concept and then put it in multiplayer mode.
Oh god, one of the things that I think is going to be so cool too is how many new ideas are going to be made. Just by adding I think you can only have the Koopa car in 3D World, but just because of that, how many Mario Kart levels do you think are going to be remade in Mario Maker 2? And they're going to be designing these levels around the fact that they want you to be trolly. They want somebody to have the on-off switch and trap somebody in a room and just try to move along as fast as they can. All of the stuff they're doing, it seems like to me, they knew how popular every game was, even though the Wii U was, I don't want to say a total failure because it did sell over 10 million units, which is, I think, still decent, not good for Nintendo standards, but it was able to, what's the right word, still live on as a stream game through Twitch, through other streaming websites, and I don't want to get too much into that. And they're kind of giving a nod to saying, like, hey, before all you could really do was kind of request people's levels and play them, which was still fun. And while me and Travis might have struggled for a lot of those Kaizo levels, it's still, now it's allowing for a little more than just that. It's allowing for you to at least even play with people who, honestly, you've never met before, people who you just stream with. And honestly, I'm really looking forward to having this as a stream game. I already straight up said, like, when this game comes out, this is going to be another one of the games that I'm going to be streaming constantly. Because of that fact, because it allows for that cooperative aspect, while still allowing for the classic, or I guess classic, like the standard Mario Maker experience of just playing other people's levels and what they create, and a couple new different levels design, different sun, and flipping things with the moon. I say it again, and I have to reiterate it, they're going above and beyond for what we really expected them to bring onto the Switch. We expected, or maybe it was just me, but I expected like a Mario Bros. U Deluxe that came to the Switch, something like that, where it came with a couple new features. No, they're not stopping at a couple, they're going with introducing like, hey, we have a couple of other ideas.
Right.
Here's even more. And I'm guessing Mario Maker 3 is... I shouldn't even think about that. I'm going to enjoy Mario Maker 2 and just say they can't do it again and hopefully
to be the negative person, there's one thing that I didn't like that kind of upsets me, and that's the fact that you can dislike and boo levels. That's
going to be controversial.
I don't like it because Mario games, as much as we don't want to, we're grown men that like playing video games, but in reality, the Mario audience is younger kids. I don't like the idea of a younger kid working hard on a level that is not professionally designed because adults play the game, and so some kid works hard on a level and a bunch of people boo it, and then that person all of a sudden, is feeling bad about the levels they make and stuff. Like, I feel like that wasn't the right way to do it. I feel like I like how they did it before, where if you get a lot of stars, you get more, recognition for that, and then you can make more levels. I always thought that was a good system. I don't like the fact that your level can get booed unless they hide the boos. If they show how many boos you get, I wouldn't like that. If you can just boo a level in the...
I think it's a way... I was just saying I think it's just a double-edged sword because there are those troll levels that people love to make, and I think it kind of would boast the... I agree. It's just a double-edged sword in my mind where you can get a level where it's just a complete troll level where, yeah, some person might enjoy making that level, but it's still a way to at least have feedback on, hey, on giving... I guess the issue was people could randomly run into those levels and be like, all right, I just beat the level and might have to start from the beginning. It's kind of a way to discourage that, but I do agree with you, Mike. It is a double-edged sword where it could kind of steer away people who could be newer players and younger players that would want to make levels and just enjoy the game.
It's one of the old, like, if it ain't broken, don't fix it questions. Like, no one seemed to complain about the trolling, and they had a great solution. You skip levels. If you get an insanely trolly level that's garbage, you just skip it, and you move on to the next one. So I feel like they had a solution for that. I'm just trying to figure out where this came from. It seemed like no one was really complaining about troll levels being too prevalent, people just would skip them, or no one really ever said they wanted dislike. In fact, most people say they don't like the idea of dislikes on most websites at all. So I'm confused why Nintendo thought of that. Like I said, if they don't show the boos you get, right, and it's hidden from the creator, I don't mind it, right? If it's just something that's like on the backlog for algorithm perspective, then that's fine with me. But I would feel bad if they show it.
Another thing that I'm thinking of is, say, the Game Grumps, when they were playing all of Ross's levels, who's to say that the Lovelies won't just boo all of his things because it'd be funny? for
you can allow
Aaron
for
and
trolling
Danny
right.
to be like,
way.
haha, your thing is just
Right. Well, and I was
dead
listening
now.
to Grand Pooh Bear, one of his streams, and what he was talking about, and he said one of the issues is if people like him like to make Kaizo levels that are really difficult, and he was saying that tons of people that randomly stumble upon that are not at that skill level are just automatically going to boo it because it's too difficult. And so his thing is all those Kaizo levels are going to get booed to shit because of that, you know, because people are going to get frustrated and not want to do it.
And there's really no distinguishing them
Right.
between
And so
just the
it's
troll
not
levels,
just
too.
affecting troll levels. I feel like that would negatively affect just hard levels in general, because gamers will get frustrated and be like, no, this is stupid, and just boo it because they're bad at it, you know? And so I don't know. That's why I have an issue with it. I feel like it's just going to lead to more problems than was... I feel like it's going to cause more issues than it is trying to fix. But again, that's a minor thing. Like I said, it's not even a gameplay element. So I don't want to fixate on this point because it's one minor thing and a vast array of amazing things. But, you know, I kind of just wanted to mention that this game is not without its flaws. We're going to spend so much time praising this game between now and the time it comes out and long after, you know. I feel like it's important to mention that it's not perfect. There's always room for improvement, but, you know, it still looks great.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much improvement there was room for after the original Mario Maker was so good, but I'm happy
the other thing
to
I
see
wanted
it.
to mention real quick, you know, as far as predictions go, everyone's talking about that last little theme that looks like there's a wide open spot for. We always talk about what we think it's going to be.
What do you think it's going to be?
Instead, the question I always like to ask is, what do we want it to be? Like, if you could pick, what would you put there?
Honestly, I would love a galaxy mode. I don't think it's going to happen. Again, this is, if we were saying just our hopes, I would love to have some kind of representation of the 3D Mario games. I know 3D World kind of is the kind of 3D Mario game in that way, but I would love to have ones from, like, you know, like the Sunshine, the Galaxy, or the Odyssey kind of worlds. I would like to have one of those represented, and while it doesn't have to be, like, if you get a Sunshine design level, you don't have to necessarily have Flood or something like that. I would like to have some nod back to that, where maybe you get, like, because Galaxy would be pretty simple. You have, like, the little spin, so it doesn't have to be as complex as Flood. And I think that would be an easy thing to just incorporate, where maybe you just hit the jump button again instead of, like, twirling like you would in Mario Maker. I think that would be a cool thing. That's what I would want.
I think the only issue, because people seem to believe it's going to be Galaxy or Mario Bros. 2 seem to be the top two that most people seem to think. The issue is Galaxy isn't a square game, if that makes sense. Like, Mario 3D World and all the other games on there are made with blocks. And so to me, it's easy to build like that. Mario Galaxy has so many, like, circular planets on it that it would kind of change how Mario Maker works, because you can't make a circular planet in Mario Maker. So that's the only thing I'm thinking about.
Through that.
Because the other three, Odyssey, Sunshine, and then Mario 64, are all blocky. And so those ones I feel like could work in that kind of environment. And they all have little, like, Mario 64 would be the easiest, because that game doesn't really have many tropes at all. Sunshine, you just put Flood in there.
Yeah.
Odyssey, you just have Cappy.
But Sunshine, I feel like, would be hard to do Flood in that world and whatnot. Especially if you... It would be cool to see if you could, like, have the single nozzle shooting, like, water, like, shooting the fire flames or whatnot and being able to dim them, which might be harder to code, but I think that'd be a really cool mechanic. I think it's a little too difficult. I'm just thinking that the spin kind of mechanic would
for
be
sure, because I was going
easier
to say same thing with Odyssey and Cappy. Like, awesome, but that I don't know how well that would work in 2D. You know, I feel like that would take some drastic changes. So they do have gimmicks that could make it fun, but they would have to make some changes. Galaxy definitely seems like it would be the easiest, because it's just you spin, and that's not a complicated thing to do. And there were a lot of levels in Galaxy that were already 2D anyway, so I could see, maybe just mimicking the 2D side levels. A lot of people are talking about Mario Bros. 2. The only thing with Mario Bros. 2 is, why would that be its own separate? Why wouldn't that be a part of, like, the other levels? Because maybe Shy Guys aren't in it already. Maybe they're not. But, like, Shy Guys are a good example of, like, Shy Guys have been in other games too, and so, why would that not have crossover between the other games, Because these bottom two are supposed to be separate from the rest. I feel like Mario Bros. 2 wouldn't be separate from the rest. So that's the reason I don't think it's going to be that game. I'm putting my chips in. I think it's going to be Galaxy. I don't really have a want, I guess. If I had to pick, I would want it to be Galaxy or Sunshine, just because I think either of those games would kind of be cool. They're not neither of them are on the Switch, so it'd be cool to have a way to play those games on the Switch a bit, you know? Outside of those two, Mario 64 would probably be next for that same reason, you know? It's just a fun way to play Mario 64 on the Switch now, you know? And so Odyssey's last just because it's a Switch game already. I don't need more of it, I guess. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. What about you, Travis? What is your wants?
I don't even know.
He wants a Halo 3 mode.
The FPS version.
Call of Duty.
Yeah, let's just make Mario Shooter. Let's go.
Hey, Mario had DDR, man.
God. Yeah, I'd probably want it to be... For me, I have the most experience with Mario 64, so I'd probably want it more to be a 64 thing than anything else, and then it would also be the simplest for them to do. But it would be cool to see, like, a flood mechanic or the spin mechanic, just because it's something a little... I mean, you kind of had a twirl thing, but you didn't do anything with it, really. In whatever new Mario, Super Mario, whatever
the 3D Mario games are called.
Yeah,
and I mean, I guess
it's something.
I was gonna say that's the thing too. Like, I guess the good thing, like you said, is Nintendo gets these things right. Like, Sunshine was a great game with Flood. Galaxy did a great job with the spin move. Mario 64 and its like new addition of all kinds of 3D moves were great. Odyssey with Cappy was great. Like, if whichever one Nintendo picks, they're gonna do a great job of it. I guess that's the one good thing about this, you know, is I don't feel worried that Nintendo's gonna screw up whichever one they pick, you know. So any of those mechanics would be fun, I think, just because Nintendo's good at this stuff.
True that.
Yeah, I can't wait for this game. There's
it's exciting.
So much.
If you haven't been able to tell by our long discussion of it, it's gonna be. I think that it's gonna be a great game no matter what. It's just, will it live up to our ridiculously high expectations? And I think we're going to be judging it on it, whether it's a 9 out of 10 game or a 10 out of 10
And the
game.
issue is, it's funny, it's like we were talking about with Mario Maker during our bracket series. Like, the thing is, it's going to be a 10 out of 10 game. Like, there's no expectations that need to be met because it's creator-based. So, whether we get an awful level or a great level, we're going to enjoy it, you know? So this game is already, and maybe that's just me overhyping and I shouldn't, but like, it's going to be perfect because it doesn't have to be perfect to be perfect. You know what I mean? Like, every other game has to have flawless gameplay.
Poetic.
This game's troll levels and bad design by some people is what makes this game great, you know? So
agreed.
It's undefeatable. True. It's like cutting a head off and 2 more grow back. It's
because like, that's also a great part of this game is even if the things that they add aren't as good as we wanted them to be, it's still going to be in Mario Maker and itself.
Well, and it comes down to how creative the people making it are. Like, whatever they put in, there's so many awesome people out there that are going to find a way to make those items awesome. So we're not in the hands of just a few creators at Nintendo. There's millions of people that are going to play this that are going to try to use these items to their best. So we're going to see the max potential of everything in this game. And so that's why, like, I have such high expectations, but I also know it's going to be met because I know how awesome the community is, you know?
Yeah, I'm terrified to see the Kaizo. I'm terrified to see what Kaizo levels come out of
it's going to be
and all
hell.
These other things.
Oh my gosh.
And like on-off switches are going to be horrible. And I'm going to scream playing
them, but I'm going to love watching people on stream do them. So that'll make up for it.
Exactly.
True.
So, yeah.
True that. All right, we're going to wrap this bad boy up.
Probably should. It's almost at 40 minutes.
Yeah, but we got kind of a little sidetracked, but this is a huge freaking month, so I'm psyched for all the games. I'm actually probably going to pick up a couple games. I was a little iffy on the other months, but I think this is going to be a good month to do so. And then the next month for July is also going to be a pretty solid month.
Yeah, June and July are going to hurt my wallet,
right. Well, and,
for sure.
You know, to just kind of end it off, like, we're talking about all these games, but, you know, the biggest gaming thing of the month that we don't talk about in these videos is the fact that E3 is right around the corner. And so we're hearing about all these great games.
I can't wait.
Usually summertime doesn't have a lot of great releases. They usually use this time to, you know, build up hype for their later month releases. And so the fact that we're this excited about June is pretty incredible because usually June is not an exciting month. So keep in mind, as always, if any of the games we talked about seem interesting to you, let us know. But, also keep in mind E3 is coming up too. So we're getting a lot of awesome games this month, and we're going to learn about so many awesome new games this month as well. So June as a month for gaming is going to be awesome. I think this might be one of the best months of the year because we're not only getting good games, we're going to learn about good games. And so, it's like a 2-in-1 month. Usually you either hear about awesome games or it's a good selling month. It's nice to see a month that has both. So again, as always, let us know what you're going to be purchasing this month. I can already promise you, me, Nick, and Travis are all going to be purchasing Super Mario Maker 2 this month, and I'm sure there's plenty of other games out there that we're going to be picking up as well.
Yeah.
So let us know what you'll be doing, and
we'll
see you guys in the future. Adios.
Bye.
Bye.